Hello, I'm Derek Cash with the North Little Rock Public Library System and want to welcome you to Meet the Author. Our guest today is Amanda Sexton, who is an oncology RN at Arkansas Children's Hospital. She's here today to discuss her book, Oh No, My Hair. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for being our guest. Why don't you begin by telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So I am from a small town kind of outside of Little Rock. It's called Lone Oak. That's where I grew up like my whole life. From there, once I graduated from high school, I went to UCA for a little bit, and then I went to UAMS to get my nursing degree. I got my bachelor's there in nursing, and then from there, I started my job at UAMS on the oncology floor there. And then I was there for about 3 years. But I always had a very big passion to work with kids and in oncology itself, which, if you don't know, it is working with people with cancer. So that being said, I was like, okay, I gotta figure out how to get to Arkansas Children's. It's just kind of always been like a dream job of mine. Nursing in general has always been like a dream job of mine. So I knew like the direct path I kind of needed to go on. So finally an opportunity came about to be just like part-time at Children's. So I kept my job at UAMS. And then I interviewed for Children and was able to get the job in the HEMOC clinic that is at Children's. And so I did both jobs for a while, but now I'm full-time at Arkansas Children's. And yeah, so, and then, just did a small thing and wrote a book also.
Well, trust me, writing a book and getting it published is something to be congratulated on. So I congratulate you. How did you learn how to write?
Just like everyone. No, I'm just kidding. I actually used to be terrible at writing. Like my English teachers would tell you, like I would write how I talk, which is a lot, but I would just write. And then, I don't know, just one day someone just really sat down with me and taught me like kind of how to just break it down and like break down what I'm saying. And like, never thought in a million years I would ever use that skill again, honestly, to write something like that. Like learning how to write and just kind of like, it kind of transpired into loving to read. Like that's kind of where like my passion came from to even write a book. I love reading and I love how much it can teach you and just like how much it can inspire you to do all kinds of routes. I mean, there's so many books in the world. So that's kind of what led me to write a book. It was just in the midst of COVID and that time frame of like 2020. And it was just a lot being a healthcare worker. And so I was like, you know what? I told my mom, I was like, I have a crazy idea. I was like, what if I wrote a book? And she was like, it's not crazy, but just how are you going to do it? And we just kind of talked it through. And we were actually on a vacation. I took like a 2-week vacation from work just to give myself a break. And that's when the idea just kind of popped in my head. And one of her best friends is actually an English teacher. And so with her help, I was able to kind of perfect it to what it is now. So
something about your book, you're the author, but did you do the illustrations as well?
No. So the publishing company I went with was J. Kincaid Publishing.
And are they here in Little Rock?
They are.
Okay.
They actually have an office. I believe it's out in Benton Bryan area now. Okay. They actually have like a store or like a office space. And they have an illustrator on staff that was actually able to, they like took my input and like really, like I got to go like kind of paragraph by paragraph and kind of tell him like what vision I saw for like the pictures. And then he kind of put what I said to paper and like really drew it out and did exactly like, honestly, like if I could put, like make it more perfect, like I don't think I could. Like he did a really good job. So
because when you look at the pictures, and I don't mean to take away from your writing, honestly, but when you look at the pictures in the book, they almost could tell the story without the text. You almost, because that illustrator did such a great job. So it's been good, the expression hand in glove for you. Yes. Okay. Tell us a little bit about, because the theme of the book is about a young little girl. How old is Georgia?
8.
Okay. She loses, she's got leukemia and she loses her hair. Tell us a little bit about, because you work with them, children and cancer.
Yeah. Well, it's never an easy thing. I know, like, I feel like the first thing people, like, when I say, like, I work with kids, they're like, great. And then I'm like, I work with kids with cancer. They're like, oh. And so, I mean, kids in general are very resilient, but these kids specifically, like, they come in normally pretty healthy prior and, like, they get the worst news that you could probably ever think of getting in your lifetime, especially not only as an adult, but as a young kid. And, like, I feel like there's, like, this feeling of kind of helplessness at first, but I feel like at children specifically, just with my experience, like, I feel like we really gather as, like, and rally as, like, a team behind these kids and these families and kind of take the worst news and make it hopefully a little better and, like, care for them and with them throughout, like, the entire journey. And I think as a kid, they don't really fully understand it all the time, like, immediately. But half the time, they don't even act like they have anything wrong with them. It's kind of crazy just to see them be able to act so normal with something so devastating in their life. And so it's inspiring to me and helps me want to be a better nurse and, like, give my all to them because, like, they don't have any control over it. So, like, I do what I can, but they're very resilient and are stronger than I could ever be. So,
in your book, Georgia wants to go to a camp called Camp Bondad. And then as I was reading, I thought, are there any camps like that in the Little Rock area or in Arkansas? I must confess, I know very little about cancer in children. So that's why I'm asking you maybe something simple, but are there?
No, the one that first just, like, kind of pops in my head is there is a camp called Camp Aldersgate. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No.
It's out in, like, kind of West Little Rock, but they do, like, all kinds of different camps. They go from anything from, like, a diabetes camp to, like, and on like a more specific, like, kind of cancer type of camp, but they are really great. I love that camp. And like, I know, like, my sister actually used to volunteer for them, so, like, I had a little bit of personal experience with them, but I know that one specifically. There might be more. I would have to research honestly, but yeah. So
well, I just thought I'd ask that question because I was naturally curious, but also if there were, it kind of gives them publicity because now we're recording it. All right. I think one of the, I don't know if it was a theme, but I think it wouldn't be fair to the children. Something that you bring up is that children, whether they know it or not, they can really be cruel. Or thoughtless. And the children that laughed at Georgia because she forgets her wig. And then some of the girls that are at the camp say, who invited the boy to come sit at our table? I'm glad it's hard to read, even for a children's book, but I'm glad you put that in there because it's not all sugar and lollipops. And so how did you come up with that idea?
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like in the world we kind of live in today, I mean, especially with, like, social media being such, like, a big thing these days, like, I feel like it's a lot easier to be mean to kids. And so, like, being able to incorporate that in, like, a real life situation, I mean, bullying is, like, can be a really serious problem, especially in kids as young as Georgia was. Like, I mean, there's no age limit on it. And so I think it was really important to show that, like, sometimes, like, these kind of things do happen to, like, our kids. And I think it's important to show that, like, bullying's not okay. Like, it's not cool. And, like, I think, like you said, like, it's not all, like, sugar and rainbows. Like, it can be hard for a kid, especially losing your hair and, like, being so different and, like, very much, like, your eyes just go straight to them kind of thing. So, like, I think it was important to kind of put that as an example of, like, you know, like, just because you look different doesn't always mean you should point it out or, like, make it a thing like that. I promise you they know. Like, it doesn't need to be pointed out by someone else. So, and
you just said something that I was going to comment on is, like, when you're different, you're frequently by yourself. And whether some people deliberately will exclude you, and some people just they don't even realize they're doing it. And so I'm glad even though you don't say that by word in the book, it's certainly implied. And so I'm glad you brought that up. And I hate to give it's a short book, but I hate to give the ending away. Okay. When Cammie takes her wig off, it reminded me, my mother and father attended a church, and the church organist got cancer. And she was I don't know how old she was, in her 50s. Yeah. Her son was in his 20s. He literally shaved all his hair off to stand with his mother, even though I think she was wearing a wig, just to let her know, I'm in this with you. And so when you wrote that in the book, I thought, oh yes, I know about what that's like, even if it's by extension. Yeah. And so now, did Cammie have cancer, or was it just? Yes. Okay, she did have cancer. Yeah. Okay, all right. That's the camp. The camp. She's not the camp director.
She's the camp counselor.
Counselor. Okay, yeah. And so I'm just so glad you kind of brought that up, because it just lets us know what's going on. Something else you brought up in the book, and I would have never thought about this. Cammie says something like, Georgia says something like, oh, I got to get that itchy wig. I would never, are the wigs itchy, or is it just, you tell me or tell us. I don't want to sound like the expert.
No, I mean, I think it just kind of depends on per kid.
Okay, all right.
I don't feel like they always say that they're itchy. I think it's just based on whichever wig. But I think it's just they're uncomfortable. And I think it's not their real hair. So I think it's just that aspect of it too, of just like, I don't want this thing, but it's can also be what makes them feel more normal and like more like their normal self. Yeah. So like, yes and no, I guess. I've never personally had to like wear one myself, but just from like hearing from them. Some kids love them. Some kids like they really truly they'll pick all kinds of different wigs and like really get creative with it, which is great to see, because I mean they really turn like what can be seen as a negative situation to like a positive. So, which is fun to see and see how creative they can get, because they can get real creative. So
well, it's just one of those little idiosyncratic things about when a person's got a condition or a disease or something go through. Just one little thing you might not have ever thought of. Yeah. And when you say this itchy wig, I thought, I would have never thought of that. But because you've written the book, you work with these children who've got cancer, you've put that in there, and it's just one more insight into what a child or an adult may have to go through, just whatever. Okay. Let me ask you at this point, if you will be willing to read a section for the book so that we can whet the audience's appetite, and I'll be quiet.
No, you're good. I'd love to. Okay, this is on my hair. I'll read, honestly, I'll just read from the beginning because it's a good hook. Okay. Today is the day, Georgia exclaimed. Today, Georgia would get her lab results to see if she could attend the one and only Camp Bondad. You see, Georgia had this tricky little thing called leukemia, which meant the blood in her body was sick. Sometimes when you're sick, your body can't fight the sickness alone, so you need some help. In Georgia's case, her helping friend was also called chemotherapy. Now, as much as chemotherapy helped Georgia, it also had some pretty stinky side effects too, like losing her hair and not being able to fight off those pesky little germs. Georgia had always wanted to fit in again with the regular kids. Camp Bondad was her chance, since no one there was sick like her. That is why Georgia had to go to the doctor to make sure it was safe for her to attend. You see, Camp Bondad had a bigger meaning than Georgia realized. Yes, this camp was the most popular summer camp amongst all the kids that lived in Georgia's hometown, but Camp Bondad really stood for something much greater. Camp Bondad meant kindness in Spanish, which for Georgia was exactly the type of camp where she belonged.
All right. Very good. Very good. And I'll end it by saying I love your conclusion that beauty is not on the outside, but on the inside. I mean, you could be the most hideous looking person, but if that person's got a beautiful spirit about themselves, you can still want to be around them just because they make you feel good and they feel good about themselves. So I'm so glad you ended it on that sort of upbeat manner. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, Amanda, it's been a pleasure. If people want to buy your book or if they want to contact you, are you in social media? And if so, let the audience know how they can reach you. Yeah.
So to be able to purchase the book, it is on 3 platforms. It's on Amazon, which I feel like sometimes is the easiest. It's on Barnes & Noble online and also on Books A Million online. So any 3 of those, you can find it. Most of the time, hey, sometimes it's on sale, so you really can snag a good deal on it. But it's always on those 3. And then you can contact me personally. I do have a Facebook. It's Amanda Sexton. And then my Instagram is NurseManda15. So you can comment or message me on any of those if you're interested in buying it or have questions about it or anything that you can think of. So.
Well, this has been a pleasure. I've enjoyed this so much. I thought it was a good book. I learned a lot, even for a children's book. And so it was a blessing for me. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today, and it has been a pleasure. If you're interested in reading the book, Oh No, My Hair, please visit us at the library or find us online at our website, nlrlibrary.org. Join us again next time and have a great day, everyone.